What's going on YouTube? It is Devin the Day Trader back with another video. Unfortunately, this is my second recording of today's video because I just found out that about halfway through my recording that it just randomly stopped. So I have to do this video all over again. So bear with me. I'm a little bit sluggish after recording that long of a video that failed to record. So it's been a while since you've last heard my voice. Not really much has been going on with me. I'm still trading, not as frequently as I used to, because last week was undeniably slow, the second half of the week, so I kind of just sat on my hands, and this week I haven't really had much time to do much of anything because 4th of July week, many people are on holiday, and again, I just decided to take it easy. So I'm just going to update you guys on what's been going on in my trading calendar and basically what's going on in my life personally. So today's a green day for me. I closed the day out about $23, which is my best trading day since switching brokerages over to Tastyworks. So a pretty big accomplishment for me. It's actually a really big occasion for me, and I'll tell you guys why in a little bit. But as far as June goes, I'll show you guys what happened for June, the last week of June. Broke even on Monday, snagged about $8 on Tuesday, and about $4 on Wednesday. So the interesting thing about June is that this was the first month I ever closed out the entire month in the green for the week. Barely squeezing by on the week of the 17th with only making about 26 cents, but it still counts, and I can still say that I closed out every single week of the month green, which, again, is the first time I've ever done that. So a pretty satisfactory $34 made for the month of June. By far one of my best months that I've ever had since I started on this day trading journey. So after today's win, this puts me up to 17 wins, 9 losses, and a win-loss ratio of 65.38%. since switching over brokerages. And the interesting thing about that stat is I would have only had 3 wins if I never ended up switching brokerages. So doing that has really significantly upped my game, and it really made me unleash the beast, and I am doing all that I can to ensure that, you know, I'm winning these trades. So as you guys can see here, starting balance on the account was $3,000. The current balance is about $2,977.85. So net, we are down $22.15. But the significant thing and the accomplishment that I wanted to tell you guys earlier is that if we discount the commissions, I am actually up on the account $14. So that's a pretty big milestone for me, especially considering that we were down about $85 in May. So really making a really strong comeback here, and I feel like everything is finally starting to click, and that I'm finally starting to understand trader sentiment and mentality. Obviously, May was a pretty rough month with 3 pretty massive losses for the size that my account is. So we're slowly starting to claw back, and hopefully I can make July as enriching as a month as June was. And surprisingly, it's funny that this is my best day of basically trading ever since switching brokerages, because it was a holiday week. So to say that I had one of my best weeks trading is definitely an understatement, because you had a half day Wednesday and then we had no trading on Thursday. So I'm pretty psyched about this number, and I'd say that's pretty comfortable of a cushion to start myself on in July. So anyways, I know I've done a lot of talking. This video is going to be longer than normal. So let's jump into the trade recap, seeing as that's what you guys probably clicked on in the video in the first place. So, as per usual, just like many of my trades, I did end up trading the SPY today, and I did trade it bearish. So this was a pretty easy setup for me, and I did end up taking this trade on the 3-minute chart. Excuse me while I dismiss that ad. So pretty much what I was looking for here, you had a really fantastically nice run-up on Wednesday. That probably shocked everybody. And basically, this trader sentiment for today, which is Friday the 5th, was undeniably bullish. Everybody and their grandmother thought that Friday today was going to be the day that we gap up, take out $300, and just run like a rocket. So the fact that we gapped lower as hard as we did really signaled some weakness in the overall markets and definitely shook some people out of their positions. This gap down was primarily due to the fact that we had strong employment numbers, which is two phrases that I didn't think I'd ever end up saying, that I didn't ever think I'd end up saying in the same sentence, because we had such strong employment numbers that people got spooked thinking that the rates or the Fed wasn't going to cut rates. So it's a pretty bizarre time that we live in, because bad news is good news, but good news is bad news. So really pretty unusual. But that's beside the point. This was basically as good as technical setup as you can get, and I'm not going to lie that this was a pretty aggressive setup on my part. So green candle gapping down signifies a bearish gap and go. So we're going to gap down pretty hard, and we're just going to run right off the gates. So I did miss this move right here, which, you know, was pretty depressing because I knew we were going to be weak after this pretty big gap. I mean, we gapped down about 150 on the open. So as you guys know, the more red candles that you have in a row, the better of a chance you have of getting some form of pullback. Just think of a rubber band. You stretch out the rubber band, and there's only so far that you can stretch it before it snaps and you get some form of, you know, recoil at some point. So I seen these candles all in a row, and I don't know if I stated this, but this is on the 3-minute chart. I was expecting some form of retest. So what I wanted to do was maybe enter halfway through the candle at 9:42 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I thought we were going to get some form of retest like this before rolling over. For some reason, I was a little bit trigger shy, and we did get the retest and rolled over quite well, if I do say so myself. So I waited for a little bit longer, and it was about at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time when I started getting a little bit of FOMO in my blood, because I did predict the rollover, but I never ended up entering the trade. So, you know, I should really stop doing this, because one day it's going to bite me back really hard. So I got in at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, like on the dot. So that was my entry. My stop was about above the high of day at 297.80. So that was my stop. And then my target was actually on the 5-minute chart. And if we go to real time, on the 200 simple moving average. If you guys are frequent watchers of my videos, you know that's where I like to keep my targets for most of the time, because I think it's a pretty solid level to hit. So back to the 3-minute chart. So the reasoning behind this entry right here is that you got a really nice rollover. You got a close below this strong bullish candle right here. And then you got another candle with a pretty strong upper wick that closed below this really strong bullish or bearish candle right here, which signified quite a lot of weakness. So when that candle closed, I was like, okay, now is my chance to try something. I gotta try this at all, because if this does exactly what I want it to do and I miss the ride, I'm gonna hate myself for it. So again, the FOMO kind of creeping up on me. I gotta work on that. Because what I was looking for and what I wanted to do was, once we broke down below that bullish candle at 9:45 a.m., I was going to wait for a retest off the low of that candle. Now, with hindsight being the way that it is, that would have only saved me about 8 cents on my entry, but at the end of the day, that would have only scored me an extra $1 or $2 anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Nice bullish pop off of my entry, which kind of spooked me a little bit. Would have kind of made me nervous, because if we ended up running, it would have looked like some form of double bottom, so thank God we didn't get any of that coming. And then basically it was all history from there. I mean, once we got those significant green candles, we just sold off, and ended up hitting my target quite nicely. And as funny as it is, I actually didn't exit at my target, because I wanted to hold this and see how well it would run, because I was already up about 62 cents right down at this level. So I was like, well, what's stopping it from having a $5 down day after, for the past like month and a half, we're up like 20-something bucks. It's possible. We've seen it happen before, especially at highs. So I thought it was going to be possible to see that again. So I wasn't completely ignorant on this one. Obviously, as we were getting the flush down lower, I was adjusting my stop every $5 or so. So I really was keeping a pretty strong stop on this, especially considering that my account before commissions was in the green for once, and I wanted to keep it that way. So every time we got some pretty nice flushes lower on some pretty strong bearish candles and volume, I just lowered the stop. And ultimately what had me is these two candles right here. Once we broke below the low of those and closed below it, I was feeling pretty confident. So I moved my stop just right above the red candle that you see here at 10:39 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we got a pretty nice flush higher, which was the case for me getting stopped out. So really no harm, no foul. I only missed out on about $8 worth of extra profitability. But beggars can't be choosers. You can't get them all. And the cool thing about this target is if I switch back right off the 200 simple average, I mean, this was as perfect as a trade that I could have made it. So ultimately really proud of how I traded this one, and my exit was phenomenal. And also, this was a really good day, not only because you had some pretty significant volume coming off of a holiday, you got some pretty nice two-sided action here as well. And I have been studying this reversal right here for a while, trying to figure out how you guys could have potentially capitalized on that move. But I'm having a really difficult time trying to see how you could have ended up playing this. Obviously, as stated earlier, you get a lot of red candles in a row, which is followed by some form of snapback. And if I draw out the price range here, so from yesterday's close to today, we're already down about $3. So pretty extended really for a down day, considering how strong the market is. So the one thing that I noticed after looking at this setup for a while is that this green candle here was the reversal. This is a one white soldier pattern. And for those of you guys who are still learning candlestick patterns, a one white soldier follows a pretty bearish move. And basically we have a tiny gap up above the close of the prior candle. And then a pretty strong bullish candle forms out of that, and we close above the high of the previous red candle. And as you guys can see here, this was the first candle to make a new high and close above the previous candle. So pretty significant move overall. So your entry could have been either, if you were really aggressive, your entry could have been at the close of that candle right there. But if you were more conservative and wanted to wait for a better move, you could have taken the reversal off the 200, waited for this candle that formed at 10.55 to come in with that lower shadow, and then you could have gotten in. And maybe your target, the 100 simple moving average on a 5-minute, that would have worked well, and you would have snagged this entire move right here. So the really interesting thing, and the really thing that I think is cool about today, is not only did we end up filling the gap from the 2nd of July, we also came up and almost filled the gap that we seen on Wednesday as well. So again, really solid two-sided action, some pretty significant moves. And actually, now that I'm looking at this candle, or how today's candlestick's formed, kind of looks like a reverse head and shoulders. If I draw this out real quick, obviously the neckline being right there. But I'm not a fan of trading inverse head and shoulders or just head and shoulder patterns in general, because it's always hindsight 20/20 with them. You never know that it's an inverse head and shoulder pattern until it actually forms and closes out the day. So really, that was my trade for the day. Once I took that trade, I just logged off for the day. I was done. Wasn't going to push my luck. Taking my 20-something bucks and running with it. That's basically what it came down to. I didn't really end up checking out the rest of the market, so we can do that now, I guess. The Qs, you could have done something similar for the Qs, but clearly the SPY definitely had a better movement. The only thing that I see that I like here better is that we got a really nice strong flush down and a retest off the lows right there from that bullish candle at 9:50 or 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that would have been a nice trade. You could have, again, entry right there at 190, stop at 190.60, with a target maybe down towards the 200 simple. I mean, again, a little bit of a smaller move as opposed to the SPY, but that's how come I like trading the SPY, because it does have better moves since it's a higher price stock. Apple not really doing much today. I mean, mostly sideways, but there was a moment in time where you could have ended up taking this trade bullish and could have made quite a pretty penny on it. I'll draw it out for you guys right here, and maybe you guys can already see it as I plot this line down, is at some pretty nice support and resistance around 203.50. As you guys can see here, you got it from nice resistance from the 3rd of July, support right there once you broke above that resistance, and then coming back down to that level and testing it again yet today. So you definitely could have traded that right there if you're a fan of support resistance lines. And as you guys know, and as I like to preach, is that when you get really long directional candles, it's quite typical that we see a 50% retracement of that candle before continuing the move either higher or lower, depending on if it was a bullish or bearish candle. So as you guys can see here, we got a nice strong green bullish candle, and we ended up coming back down and pretty much almost retesting 50% of that candle to the max. So I think that is pretty cool. And if you wanted to be more aggressive, if you were missing out on that move on the SPY, it is not impossible that you could have taken a break above this indecision candle at 10:35 a.m. and solidifying this run up right here back up to high of day, locking in some pretty solid gains. And if you were to do that, it would have been about $1 winner. So that could have been a trade that you could have potentially ended up taking. BABA, again, not really doing much, really choppy at the moment. Facebook, some nice moves, but no really clear entry signals, a lot of upper-lower shadows. NVIDIA, same case. Netflix, don't really trade it. Tesla, not really trading it. And then I rarely trade Google and Amazon. So I think that's going to be it for me today. I know today's video is a mouthful. I kind of expected it was going to be longer than normal, especially considering the fact that it has been quite a while since I uploaded my last video. So if you guys liked what you heard, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I try to pump these videos out as frequently as I can. If you guys learned something new, make sure to smash that like button. And if there is any way possible that I could have improved my trade on the SPY this morning, make sure to drop that down in the comments below as well. Like I said, I am still relatively new to day trading, so anybody who has more experience than me, I'd love to hear your feedback and see what you think. Maybe I could have entered a little bit earlier. Maybe there was a better exit sign that I should have gotten out at, at the 200 simple, saved me $8. Would have been a better trade, but as far as this one goes, I mean, this was really textbook in my opinion, and I don't think that there was much else that I could have done. So once again, thank you all for watching. I love you guys dearly. Enjoy your 4th of July holiday. Have a safe and enriching weekend, and I will make sure to pump out the next video as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all guys soon. Thanks.